To make a brownie, mise en place the equipment and ingredients required. Set the oven at 170 degrees to preheat and start lining the baking tray with parchment paper. If required, you can snip the corners for a perfect fit. Get the butter and place it in the microwave or on top of a bain-marie system to melt. While the butter is melting, sift the flour and cocoa powder on top of the baking paper or parchment paper, which will be later used to bake the product. Once the butter is melted, the butter and chocolate can be mixed together, so the heat of the butter will melt the chocolate callets. If they don't melt completely, you can pop the mix in the microwave for further few seconds, or just place the pot on top of a bain-marie system. Start whisking the eggs with a slow speed to allow the small pockets of air to form and create a good structure of the foam. And once the foam reaches the ribbon stage, so it looks well formed, you can start adding the sugar in few increments, so a little sugar at a time, just to allow for the sugar to get nicely incorporated and get dissolved into the egg mix. This will get to the appearance of a thick mayonnaise when it's all done. The speed can be increased now from medium to high. You can also move the hand mixer around the bowl just to incorporate more air as well. Once the sugar is nicely incorporated and you get a nice texture, as I said, similar with the mayonnaise type of texture, you can leave the bowl on the side and just look at the chocolate and butter to see if the chocolate is well melted. Maybe use one of the whisks to help the chocolate to melt completely, and then just pour the mix over the egg mixture and give a good whisk, aiming to get an uniform color and texture into the bowl. Then add the flour and cocoa powder in 2 increments or in one go, and then fold in the dry ingredients either using the silicone spatula or the hand whisk. If you use the hand whisk, make sure you start with a slow speed and you maintain the whisks next to the wall of the bowl to prevent the dust of covering the whole surface. In few seconds, the whole mix, it will turn up looking evenly, and then you can stop whisking, add the chocolate callets and the walnut pieces to get the mixture ready for baking. The chocolate chips and walnut pieces will increase the amount of calories of the brownie. So if you want to make a more like low calorie type of brownie, you can skip and not use the chocolate chips and the nut pieces. The mixture now goes into the baking tray. It gets leveled with the silicone spatula and it gets into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you prefer the brownie to turn up a little bit softer, then you can stop at 25 minutes. If you prefer the texture to be a little bit on the dry side, you can keep it for about 30 minutes. The baking temperature should be about 160 degrees. So once you've inserted the tray into the oven, you can reduce the temperature from 170 to 160 degrees Celsius. Once the brownie is baked, you can transfer the baked product onto a cooling rack and just leave it to cool before you slice it. Once cooled, you can start trimming, and it depends if you want to serve the brownie immediately or you want to store it for later. Ideally will be to pack it into some wax paper or parchment paper just to keep it away from odors, as it's full of fats and obviously it will absorb any kind of odor. Just choose the size required for your cakes, and do not forget to have a quality check. Get a member of the family to tell you exactly if you've managed to do a good job. Slices can be packed away and wrapped nicely, stored in a freezer for up to 3 months. You can just take as many pieces as you